everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Closer Look, the show dedicated to bringing you the facts. We ask the questions no one else will, and we get the answers that no one else can. I'm Arabina Apia, and we are coming to you live from the beautiful Pelican Bay Resort on Grand Bahama Island for an all-new Freeport-focused episode. Thanks so much for joining us. It's so good to be home. You know, they say you can take the girl out of Freeport, but you cannot take Freeport out of the girl. And let me tell you that after all these years, that saying still rings true for me. Growing up on Grand Bahama Island was a special kind of experience. It was the perfect mix of island charm and city living. But it's not just its natural beauty that makes Freeport so special. It was and is the people. We are proud, we are hardworking, and as the name suggests, we do everything in grand style. Now, unfortunately, Mother Nature has not always been kind to residents here in Freeport. I don't have to tell you how much things have changed. Natural disasters have precipitated economic disasters, which in turn has caused an exodus of many people simply looking for more opportunity and a chance to live the lives that they'd once been accustomed to. Now, I, for one, am no longer interested in a narrative that looks backwards as opposed to looking forward. If life and death are in the power of the tongue, then it's time we start speaking some life into things around here. Don't you agree? But let's be honest. The material is here in Freeport. Unspoiled riches and natural resources exist right alongside high-quality infrastructure and ample space, making this island ripe for real, true development. So, what's stopping us from pumping some magic back into the Magic City? I mean, at this point, I probably sound like a broken record, but if I'm being honest, I do not care because I know firsthand the level of potential that exists. And since this is my show, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that all of you see that potential too. That said, we're talking to some of the island's major players to gain insights into the way forward for Freeport. We're also taking a closer look at one of the newest upcoming projects that could mean a metaphoric new day for the island. Stay with us. We have more of a closer look coming to you from the beautiful Pelican Bay Resort after this. Welcome back. You're watching A Closer Look, and we are coming to you live from the beautiful Canal House meeting rooms at Pelican Bay Resort in Freeport, Grand Bahama. Thanks so much for being here. For the past decade or so, Grand Bahama's economic viability has been the topic of major conversation in a number of different circles. Now, whether you're a resident or a visitor, a business owner, or an average everyday consumer, you've probably noticed that things aren't as great as they could be. And you probably also understand that there are a number of factors that are likely at the heart of the island's issues. Well, we sat down with President of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, Mr. James Carey, to get his perspective on the future of the nation's second city. The head of the Grand Bahama business community estimates that it may take a financial injection of hundreds of millions of dollars to jumpstart the Grand Bahama economy. James Carey says that while he remains cautiously optimistic about the future of the island, unconventional steps may have to be taken. The A Closer Look team was on Grand Bahama Island recently and spoke exclusively with the businessman about the challenges that continue to plague the nation's second city, but more importantly, about plans to restore that island's reputation as a viable option for investment.
This island needs to define a vision, a master plan, where it wants to go, because it's, we are taking hold of anything that comes, almost viable, and running with it. But I think we need to have a plan of where ultimately we want to go, how we're going to get there, and that plan should be developed by the Port Authority, who are responsible in the first instance for Freeport, not the whole island, the Bahamas government, the Chamber of Commerce representing businesses, so we embrace that, and the community at large.
Carey, who is now serving as chamber president for a second term, says that despite the myriad of issues that the island has faced over the past decade or so, the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. While commending existing businesses on the island for pivoting during difficult economic times, he encouraged budding entrepreneurs in the nation's second city to ready themselves for potential opportunities that could come over the next several months and years.
From my chamber's standpoint, the focus on small business, we are trying to encourage persons to get their accounting done. When starting a business, your business plan, so you know what you're facing. Encourage them in accounting, and we have done some sessions, free sessions for persons going in business. We want to do with computerization, with banking, with the whole myriad of things. We're trying to move that along, and in fact, we're about to do some sessions with some of our senior citizens to move their fare. I mean, they all have smartphones, to move the fare out of using these to do certain things. So, you don't have to go stand online all day where you can, transact your business. You get, so, and we have people lined up who will support and assist with that process. So, and it's all part of this concept of making doing business easier.
Even more important to Grand Bahama's recovery, he says, will be a mindset shift that takes the wider Grand Bahama community from a place of dependency to action.
It is what is in the best interest for our population, because with our population participating and growing, the economy will grow, the happiness will grow, the health of the population will grow. Everything just grows exponentially with this participation and involvement, and of course there will be naysayers, and but that's part of the process. But I see that as a real possibility. But we have to do a sales program. Who is responsible? Who will take the lead? We have to figure that out. The business community, yes, I'm sure they will participate, but my chamber really has no power as such. We can't legislate anything, we can't move anything. In our individual spaces, we can encourage our staffs and our families, but the bigger power is the Port Authority, who have a wider berth of funding, and the government particularly. That can make a difference.
while as public and private sector stakeholders work toward encouraging both domestic and international investment, Kerry says his executive team is dedicated to making Grand Bahama grand again. Well, that was a very interesting and enlightening conversation. Thank you so much to Mr. Carey for joining us. Our conversations continue in just a moment.
Sometimes we focus so heavily on the minor details that we miss the bigger picture. Take a step back. See how our efforts make for a bigger, better Freeport, a bigger, better country. Let's make Grand Bahama grand again.
Welcome back. You're watching A Closer Look. Thanks so much for joining us. We are coming to you live from the beautiful Canal House meeting spaces at the Pelican Bay Resort on Freeport, Grand Bahama. And today, our conversations focus on the way forward for the island from the perspective of the men and women and business owners that live and work here. The Grand Bahama Business Outlook Seminar took place here on Grand Bahama Island last week. Government officials, executives of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, and members of the local business community gathered to hear insights into the way forward. Let's go to our government correspondent, Jillian Gray, for a closer look.
Against the backdrop of an economy still reeling from the back-to-back impact of devastating hurricanes, hotel property and business closures, and the equally destructive impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the annual Grand Bahama Business Outlook Seminar officially opened at the Grand Lucayan Resort on March 16th. For more than 2 decades, the seminar has served as a breeding ground for more collaboration between public and private sector stakeholders. And this year was no exception, as officials from the government, the Grand Bahama Port Authority, and the wider business community gathered to plot the way forward. Topping the agenda for government officials is the revitalization of the Grand Bahama economy. For Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism and Aviation Chester Cooper, that revitalization is directly linked to the restoration of the island's international airport, which he says will be completed by the end of the first quarter of 2025.
As you know, we followed request for proposal process. Evaluation has been done by the Freeport Airport Development Company's board. And in February, the government of the Bahamas entered an agreement with Aerodrome Limited, a Bahamian company, Manchester Airport Group Limited, an airport management company based in Manchester in the UK, and BHM Construction International Company based in London. And we expect financing to be provided by the UK Export Finance, UKEF.
At the heart of that consortium is Aerodrome Company Limited, a Bahamian company led by career engineer Anthony Farrington and businessmen Tony Myers, Anthony Ferguson, and Greg Stewart. The quartet will partner with its UK partners to both develop and fund the $200 million facility.
These 3 companies represent a joint venture consortium that successfully bid to design, build, finance, operate, maintain, and redevelop the Grand Bahama International Airport, and to generate traffic, and to grow revenues, and to further enhance GBIA.
The airport redevelopment is only the first phase of the government's revitalization plan for the nation's second city. According to Cooper, the government is also closer to securing a buyer for the Grand Lucayan Resort. While praising the efforts of the board of directors, the Deputy Prime Minister stopped short of providing a formal timeline on the sale of the property, saying only that the government was taking painstaking measures to ensure the best possible deal.
The well-being and the people of Grand Bahama is our primary interest, and we recognize the role that Grand Lucayan plays and its significance and the economic potential it possesses. So whilst we remain cautiously optimistic about these prospects, we will not make any further public announcements until full due diligence is completed and funding is verified and placed in escrow, and we have a definitive imminent closing. In other words, let me say this. I ain't saying nothing else until the money is in the bank.
Well, as government officials do their part to improve the economic stability of Freeport, officials at the Grand Bahama Port Authority say they are doing the same. In an interview with A Closer Look, Port Authority President Ian Roll says millions of dollars in investment are already in the pipeline.
Some have been approved already, some are waiting approval in terms of the business license application, and some have started construction, like the Carnival Cruise Port, which is well over $200 and something million project. There's a transaction that's underway involving Port Lucaya Marina, the old Port Lucaya resort site, Grand Bahama Shipyard, and that's a $350+ million project. What all these projects will do is cause a lot of movement on the island and increase traffic, significant traffic.
We're definitely looking forward to hear more good news coming out of Grand Bahama. Back to you, Rabs.
When we return, more of our Freeport-focused episode live from the Pelican Bay Resort. Stay with us.
Enjoy an enchanting staycation at Grand Bahama's Happy Hotel. Book 2 nights at the Pelican Bay Resort and get the third night absolutely free, with 2 complimentary breakfast passes, an Easter goodie box, and more. Call us and book your next staycation with us.
Welcome back. You're watching A Closer Look. I'm Arabin Apia. Thanks so much for joining us. Ground broke on March 17th on a new solar energy facility on Grand Bahama Island. Officials there say the new facility will stabilize energy prices and improve reliability. We were on the ground and bring you all the details. Let's take a look. In 2013, the government of the Bahamas launched the National Energy Policy, an initiative aimed at increasing the share of renewable energy in the country's electricity mix in the short term and in the long term, improving overall energy efficiency and reducing energy costs across the country. The Bahamas has also been investing in renewable energy sources such as solar and wind power. In 2019, the government signed an agreement with the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, to develop a national energy transition strategy, which includes, among other things, a target of achieving 30% renewable energy by the year 2030. Well, a new facility on Grand Bahama Island is looking to bring the Bahamas just one step closer to meeting that goal. March 17th saw the official groundbreaking of the first phase of a $15 million investment in renewables that will eventually supply as much as 3% of the capacity of the Grand Bahama Power Company. Construction on the 9.5 megawatt solar plant is scheduled to begin this month, with an estimated 80 jobs projected during the peak of construction. The project is a collaboration between the Grand Bahama Power Company, IDB Invest, and the Inti Corp, a Bahamian firm responsible for the design, engineering, procurement, and installation. Led by local businessman Owen Bethel, who says that the groundbreaking is a step in the right direction.
Well, I think it's certainly symbolic that the first of this kind is here in Freeport on Grand Bahama. And I think, again, for the country, I like to consider it that while it's one small step, it's a step in the right direction, but it's a major step for the Bahamas and for Grand Bahama, essentially, in that, again, because of the commitments that the government has made internationally towards renewable energy, that we are looking forward to taking these steps towards that. And again, significant that that first step is here in Grand Bahama. So I think it will always be, when the history is written, that the first step towards that goal was here in Grand Bahama.
The plant is the first of its kind in the country and is one of two to be constructed in Freeport, as the island continues to reestablish itself as a prime location for investment. Bethel says that the involvement of the IDB lends the necessary credibility.
Definitely, it brings a lot of credibility. They have clearly been in the business of global lending, more focused obviously on the region with it. And the indication was that this was to be the pilot case for a number of their potential projects.
It also falls into a wider government strategy to encourage greater energy efficiency across the archipelago, a goal which is also a high priority for the Grand Bahama Port Authority. Grand Bahama Port Authority President Ian Roll.
First, I would like to say how very pleased I am just to know and to support Bahamian ownership, because this project is owned 65% by Bahamians. And I think that's very encouraging, especially based on the fact that the Grand Bahama Port Authority, we are pushing this type of alternative energy for the island. We want to encourage stabilization of the cost in the long run. And this plays right into the vision that we have for the island. There are going to be many more opportunities to develop other solar plants on this island, and I want to hear that Bahamians are also involved in those transactions. So this is very, very important to us. Now we're generating clean energy, and as we know, we were affected, I believe, by global warming. We had Dorian and other storms that hit Grand Bahama over the last few years. Some people might say they don't believe in global warming, but we in Grand Bahama, we definitely believe in global warming. So we have to do our part to fight it. And hopefully the rest of the Bahamas will also do the same. I'd like to congratulate our Prime Minister. He's a champion in regards to encouraging this type of alternative energy to be introduced to the Bahamas. He's on the world scene as a forerunner in regards to promoting this type of activity. So the government of the Bahamas are very encouraged and are very encouraging in regards to these types of investments. We still have to work on, though, the ease of doing business in terms of making these type of investments happen.
Now, the completion of the Lucayas solar energy plant is expected to bring a greater level of stability to the island's energy supply and reliability in the face of natural disaster, while also helping meet the energy needs of the island in the long term. Lucayas Solar Energy President and CEO Jorge Marquez.
Well, basically, I have a long story with the country. I'm very close with a very traditional family here in the Bahamas, the Whitehead families, that they introduced me to the country, and they were so nice that they introduced me a lot of people, and then I realized the need. Basically, what we see is a need, and we think that together with the regulatories and the off-takers and everyone, we need to get to this stage of pushing this in the whole country.
Now, does this mean that residents on Grand Bahama Island will immediately see a reduction in their power bills? Not exactly. According to David McGregor, president of the Grand Bahama Power Company, however, that is in fact the ultimate goal.
Truly, the way to achieve lower power rates is to have more scale in Grand Bahama, more people. I always say I'd rather have more people paying less for electricity than less people paying more. And currently we've got less people paying more. I think investments like this in renewable energy will help drive the economy. It'll help other investors, not necessarily in renewable energy, go, hey, never thought about Grand Bahama before, and they have 30% renewable energy. That's got to be a good place to do business. And start building the momentum again for Grand Bahama. That's what's going to drive electricity prices down. You know, everyone who talks to me says, well, Dave, the sun's free, so, you know, what gives? Yeah, but you've heard how much money these people are spending on building this solar plant, $15 million. They need to get that $15 million back, and maybe a little bit more. So, you know, people forget about that capital side. But what it does do is it stops us from having to lay out foreign exchange, US dollars, which are not easy to come by, to you know, big oil companies like Shell in North America for our fuel oil bill. Instead, we give some of that money to the solar power providers. So what it really does is stabilize the bill. It insulates us from future high oil prices. We've seen oil prices go bananas over the last year because of everything that's going on in the world. As we have more and more solar, we'll be insulated from the crazy price rides.
With ground now officially broken, company executives say they're expecting a 10-month construction period, barring any shipping delays. Our closing remarks right after this.
Spring has sprung at Grand Bahama's happiest hotel. The Pelican Bay Resort is the perfect place to unwind and relax with family and friends. Come and check out our amazing views and our friendly staff, because there's no place better than Grand Bahama's happiest hotel.
Welcome back. No discussion about the way forward for Grand Bahama can be had without the acknowledgement of the challenges that the island and its residents have endured. However, there are still many great opportunities for growth and development that can help to revitalize the economy and improve the quality of life for residents there. This is going to mean looking at the island's tourism product in a new way. It will also mean embracing sectors such as technology and renewable energy. But more importantly, it's going to take vision, a plan, and a people committed to making it happen. I'm excited, and hopefully you are too, because if I know nothing else, I know that Grand Bahama Island deserves a chance to revive the magic that once made it grand. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Arabina Apia. Thanks so much for joining us.